Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Data Cloud Now. I'm currently in New York City at Advertising Week, where I'm delighted to be joined by Geoff Spence, VP Streaming Platform at Magnite. Geoff, looking forward to jumping into it.
Thanks very much for having me.
Geoff, at Magnite, you power advertising that enables billions of people to stay informed, entertained, and connected. Based on your data insights, what are the most significant shifts you're seeing in consumer media consumption patterns, and how are these changes impacting advertising strategies?
Sure, I think probably the biggest shift that we've seen in consumption patterns changing is the shift from linear viewership to streaming. So that's been happening for the past few years. There's a number of drivers of that. I think the major ones being the reduction in pay TV subs, the emergence of the cord cutters and the cord nevers, also the growth of the streamers, the SVOD services, and more recently, really leaning into their ad-supported tiers. So companies like Amazon and Netflix really leaning into ad-supported. And then we've also seen this boom of FAST, which is free ad-supported streaming TV. These are services like Roku channel, LG channels, Tubi, Pluto. They've really kind of gotten to a point of mass adoption. So for perspective, in the fast viewership, you can reach about 100 million viewers on a monthly basis. For contrast, in linear TV, you can reach about 120 million. So it just shows how much that industry has really grown. So in terms of how that's impacted advertising strategies, you can't just plan against linear, you can't just plan against streaming. You kind of have to look cross platforms because it's pretty fragmented. I mean, you've got to be able to measure things like incremental reach and all of that. So that's really had a major impact on the advertising strategy. And as a result, we've seen a pretty significant increase in investment, specifically in CTV. This year, CTV is expected to see about $30 billion in investment, and that's only going to continue to grow over the next few years. I think the other major impact that's happened is a shift in advertising strategy is the investment in using data. So data as an activation point, whether that's an advertiser's first-party data or a publisher's first-party data as well.
Great insights. Thank you, Geoff. You help media owners of all sizes realize their full potential. How does the Data Cloud allow your team to do just that? And how are you using data to really level the playing field in the industry?
Sure. So, media owners and publishers use Magnite to power their advertising business. Part of that is Magnite Access, which is a suite of audience and identity tools that allow publishers and media owners to deploy a data-driven advertising strategy. And Snowflake is a huge part of that. So Snowflake's partnership with Magnite helps us to support our clients in a number of ways. On the buy side, a lot of advertisers use Snowflake to house their first-party data or use third-party data. And so through the integration between Snowflake to Magnite, we can push those segments into Magnite and layer those on for targeting, making sure that the advertiser is reaching the specific viewer or user that they're trying to reach. On the sell side, you talked about leveling the playing field, right? As it relates to, publishers and media owners, their first-party data is what allows them to level the playing field. It's extremely valuable. And so working with Snowflake allows our publishers to be able to better manage their data stack on the sell side. So again, housing data in Snowflake, being able to push those segments into Magnite, but then we also send log level data back into Snowflake, which allows to inform certain actions, things like optimizations or attribution. And so it really is kind of bringing it full circle to really actualize the potential of a data-driven strategy and really kind of delivering on specific KPIs.
I love to hear that, bringing it full circle. We're currently at Advertising Week. The buzz and the excitement is all around us. There's a lot of discussion about the future of digital advertising. From Magnite's perspective, what do you see as the next significant challenges and opportunities facing the ad tech industry over the next year or two?
Sure. I think one that's very much front and center in the industry is the deprecation of third-party cookies. Obviously, we've been working towards a futureless third-party cookie world, and Google recently announced their announcement to kind of pause that effort. But I do think that there's significant trends that are happening in that space. We already know certain browsers don't support third-party cookies. So we know that that's where it's trending. We believe at Magnite there's a huge opportunity to kind of shift the data economy and to move a lot of that decisioning to the supply side. So publishers' first-party data, again, is very valuable. So really leaning into a publisher first-party data strategy supported by seller-defined audiences and really giving the power back to the publishers to be able to manage their data and their inventory and how it gets packaged and sold. The other significant opportunity and challenge is just around the lag of investment in streaming. I think if you just look at as pure viewership compared to ad spend investment, streaming is dwarfing in terms of just what percentage of total media or even TV media investment is going into streaming. I think there's a couple fundamental structural issues that are preventing that the industry needs to address. Things like aligning on certain standards, particularly around measurement. I think fragmentation across platforms, being able to purchase and buy across multiple platforms. Transparency, linear buyers are very used to buying specific shows and knowing what they're running in. So, and then there's also cost. There's this understanding that CTV is more expensive, quote unquote. But I think in addition to those structural changes, there's also just the need to make sure that the viewer experience is also very premium, right? And that's really where technologies like Magnite come in. So we're investing a ton in our technology to be able to ensure a premium user experience. So making sure the same ads aren't playing back-to-back in an ad pod, managing things like frequency capping, making sure that when the ad comes on, it's not high audio levels compared to the content that's playing.
Consistency.
Exactly. And so just making sure that the overall viewer experience is premium and kind of accustomed to what linear buyers are used to getting in a linear environment.
I love that, always putting the audience first. Magnite sits at an interesting intersection of streaming, online video, display, audio, and really everything in between. Whether you're selling or buying, you've got every format covered. Are you seeing unexpected trends in terms of format performance or advertiser preferences, and how are these trends influencing Magnite's strategic priorities overall?
Yeah, I think we cover a lot of formats. Display, audio, online video, CTV, and the number one thing that our customers come back with is they want to make sure that they maintain a premium user or viewer experience, right? And part of that is the ad experience. So we invest a ton in making sure that the ad experience that we're empowering is a premium in nature. One area that we've seen a huge amount of interest recently is in a product called Tiles. So Tiles is what you think of as like the native ad formats on a CTV screen. So if you think about the home screen display ads,
right.
Pause ads, sponsorship units. There's been a ton of investment that we've made on our side to be able to invest in this area. It's a huge opportunity to engage with customers. If you think about your own viewing habits, how much time are you sitting on the home screen trying to find what show you want to watch, right?
It changes from period to period.
So it's really about hitting those users at the right time, and especially those really hard to reach SVOD users that aren't potentially engaging a lot of ad-supported content. And this is a great way to hit them. The other one is around interactive and shoppable ad formats. So, we've seen a big surgence in interest in that on the CTV side, on the streaming side. We've done partnerships with companies like Curve and ShopSense. And so if media owners are working with those companies and want to deploy those type of units within the streaming environment, we can support that today. I think we see there's a ton of interest and investment on the social side. The main difference between linear and streaming is the opportunity to engage with customers on the streaming side, to have a call to action, to have more interactivity. And I really think in terms of innovation, we're at the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we're going to see with these kind of companies in the streaming space.
An exciting next chapter in Geoff. Now looking ahead, what emerging technologies or market shifts do you believe will have the most significant impact on the ad tech industry, and how is Magnite positioning itself to lead in those areas?
Sure. So, we talked about data activation being a core one. I think the other one that we're going to see over the next few years is the shift in viewership for live sports, particularly from linear to streaming. So we already see a number of pretty major partnerships in that space. Major sports leagues like the NFL, investing with Amazon, Netflix. If you look back at the streaming exclusive wildcard game that aired on Peacock, it reached about 23 million viewers, became the largest live stream event in the US history. So I think there is going to be a ton of of that happening and sort of those leagues leaning into streaming. So we at Magnite are making significant investments to be able to support, for example, the high concurrence that happens when a lot of viewers are hitting the stream at the same time. In full transparency, I don't think the programmatic ecosystem is optimally set up today to be able to support just that high level of concurrencies that happens. So we have products like the live stream acceleration that we deploy on our streaming SSP that tries to sort of smooth out the requests that are going out to the DSPs at the same time that these users are deploying. And we're also talking to a lot of our media owners that have live sports rights directly to try and capitalize on this shift from linear into streaming. I think the other major change over the next few years that we're going to see is programmatic becoming the primary form of transaction execution type on the streaming side. So you're already starting to see a lot of the traditionally linear supply, things like set-top box VOD, live linear streaming connecting to the programmatic infrastructure. You're also seeing major media owners shifting their investments from upfronts into programmatic as well. And then you're seeing, the advertisers are pushing it, but I also think the publishers themselves and the media owners are seeing the benefit of programmatic. So Disney recently announced that between their digital and streaming platform, half of their business is now programmatic, with the goal of by 2027 to be at around 75%. So huge opportunity. That shift is going to come. I think we at Magnite feel like we're very well positioned to be able to capitalize on that shift and that opportunity. And we're super excited to partner with companies like Snowflake to be able to usher in this new era of media buying and selling.
Well, Geoff, I really enjoyed our time. A fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
for having
me
me
here at Advertising Week.
Yeah.
And for the audience watching, I'm Ryan Green with Data Cloud Now in New York City at Advertising Week. We'll see you soon.